Hey, this is Crispin from the Veer Union, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
Brutally Delicious!
Hey, you're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast. I'm Bruce.
I'm Chris.
And today we've got Crispin from the Veer Union. This is a band I saw like 10 years back, and I've been listening to them pretty much ever since. Very good hard rock, metalish kind of stuff. I know you've got a connection with them as well, right?
Absolutely, I do, yeah. I mean, they're from my hometown. So, I've recorded their drummer, I can't even tell you how many times. I was looking at photos on Facebook today, actually, of how many times he's in my in my studio shot. And I've met Crispin a lot of times. So, yeah, it's going to be good to talk with him. But the thing about Crispin is this guy can sing, man. Like,
oh, hell yeah.
He is a true rock vocalist. So, like, when you see them live, he's actually better than he is on the record.
Yeah, I got a chance to see them. Well, like I said, I haven't seen them in 10 years, but I saw them at the beginning, and they were great. So I imagine with all this time, he's definitely, just gotten better. And they've got a new collection of, I guess it's actually called Covers Collection or something, and some great cover tunes while they're working on a new studio record. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So let's go ahead and get him on the line and see what he's got to say. Sorry. Anyway, Crispin, there's my partner, Crispin.
Hello. I've met Chris many times. I'm from Vancouver. What? What?
Yeah, small world.
Yeah, I moved from Vancouver to DC. So I played a show with you, and you were a drummer for a band called Chickpea. I met you when I was working out at Garth Richardson's place. Yeah, many times. Yeah. I've recorded Ricardo like a ton of times. How you doing, man?
No way. That's crazy. Good, man. Good.
Awesome. Yeah, I just missed your show when you guys came through. You played in Baltimore, I think, a few months ago. And
okay, yeah.
I live in D.C. now. So Ricardo was like, "Get down here, man!" I was like, "Fuck, it's like an hour away."
Oh man. Well, next time around for sure, definitely.
Oh yeah, absolutely. How are things going?
Really good, man. Really good. Yeah, it was nice to have an actual bit of a vacation on Christmas break there. Normally we're out on tour in basically in winter, but this year we decided to take a little bit of time off, and so it's been nice.
That's sweet. Awesome. You guys just put out the new cover song too, I see.
Yes. Yeah.
The cover record.
Definitely. Yeah. It was weird putting out a record and when it's the first time we put out a record where we haven't actually gone on tour. So it was kind of like, let's put this out and have some fun doing it. And while we're writing our new originals record is our thought process on that.
Nice. How far is the new record coming along?
There's a lot of ideas, lots and lots of ideas. So super excited about it. I'm actually in the studio as we speak right now, just working on it.
Oh, nice. What studio are you guys working at, or are you just working at home?
What's that?
Are you working like in your home studio, or are you working at like the Armory or the warehouse, or?
Oh yeah, no. We don't. The days of going really into the Armory, it's like maybe to track drums. That's about it. And sometimes, So I mean, sure we could, but there's just no point. We get the same quality in our own studio, so.
And it's way more relaxing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We're not looking at the clock like, holy shit, we got to get this guitar part done, or it's going to cost us another day.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's makes the creative process much more enjoyable for sure.
Yeah, are you guys writing as a band for the record, or are you guys writing? Are you writing, or is everyone kind of writing and bringing stuff in? How are you guys handling that side of the creative part of the record?
I mean, it's always been pretty much the same, which is, I start off with the main ideas of the songs, the structures, and then I bring it to, the next guy, and then once we have an idea, then we bring it to the next guy, and then to the point where we have the whole entire band. So everybody puts their, I think every single band is a different way of doing it, but essentially I like to try to come up with the the initial song idea first, and then everybody kind of puts their spin on it. Once we're done, then we all sit back and look at each other and go, "That's finished," and then move on.
Nice. How did you guys pick the songs that made the covers collection? I imagine there's a wide variety too, from like Bring Me the Horizon all the way to some 90s like Seattle stuff. Was there a difficulty choosing?
It was difficult. It was really difficult. But at the same time, we really wanted to do a covers record that, I find a lot of people do, they're doing covers based on a certain purpose. For us, the purpose of doing this covers record was to do a bunch of artists that we have been a fan of for, and not necessarily trying to stick to any specific genre. A good song is a good song. It doesn't matter what genre it's from, and we really wanted to kind of, explain to people. It's like, just because we play in a hard rock / metal band, if you will, to us, it's like, that's just because people said that that's where we are. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that's all we listen to.
Right.
But there's always going to be labels, and people want to label you a certain way, but we kind of wanted to say, you know what? It's a great song is a great song, no matter what genre it is.
I couldn't agree with that statement more. And I mean, you guys are proving it. Johnny Cash has proved it. So many bands have come along and said, you know what? A good song is a good song. So I couldn't agree more with that statement.
Cool.
Are you guys planning on any touring in the new year?
Yes, absolutely. There's conversations right now. I can't necessarily, because nothing's been confirmed yet, and so I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I can tell you that sometime June, July, we're kind of looking at heading out on a tour. And if it pans out, I think it's going to be a really good one. That's what I can tell you.
Nice.
Awesome. One thing, this is kind of from Bruce might not get this because it's from a Canadian aspect of things, but how has Creative BC, that whole kind of how the government's kind of helping artists get ahead, how has that helped you guys, or has it helped you in any way?
Oh, it definitely has helped. I mean, every little bit of finance helps, no matter which way you look at it. Let's just put it this way. I mean, regardless of however you're making a record or marketing your record, if you can have a few extra dollars to help you along the way, it's just going to give you more longevity. So we have been very, very lucky with Creative BC as well as Factor. And I can definitely say that as a band, it's one of the reasons why we have been able to continue as a band and, go through the growing pains of making mistakes and then also having successes. We're really lucky as a Canadian band to be able to have that access to Canadian government's funding, that is.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I see how it's affected a lot of my friends who work in studios even. It's to me, when they announced it, I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. I wonder how they're going to do this. But now it seems like they've done it in a really, really positive way.
They definitely have. I mean, I think that they're also very new at what they're doing, and I'm sure that they've probably made a couple of mistakes when, like when they first came out with the very first round of funding. They had a few $1 million that they dispersed, and they called it first come, first serve. And then they realized very early on that just because you're putting in an application and you're in a band doesn't necessarily mean that you should necessarily give money to those people just because you're in a band, because everybody thought free money. Hey, this is great. It's not really free money. It's not really free money. What it is if you go and spend X amount of dollars, then they'll also put in some of that money. All of a sudden, all these bands with millions of dollars are sitting there going, oh my gosh, we have to spend our own money. Otherwise, this isn't going to work. So, I think they had a lot of problems. Bands have to realize that it's still a business. If you're not going to put in your own money, why should they give you any money? You know what I mean? And that's really, there's been growing pains, but I definitely think they've got it a lot more solidified now. Yeah,
and you guys just kind of celebrated the 10-year anniversary of your first release. How has the music business changed you over that course of time?
That's a good question. I would definitely say that the entire business has completely changed, and for me, 98% of it for the better. I would definitely say that back in the day, we used to go, oh, well, we need a record deal.
Right.
Yeah. And nowadays, it's like that. I've been called by a lot of record companies trying to give us record deals, and it's like, no thanks, I'm not interested. You know,
right.
And now I wake up every single day, and I go down to the studio and I start working on music, and it's my full-time job. Am I rich? No. But I am absolutely exactly where I want to be compared to where I was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, you're chasing a lot of things to try to get a record deal, or try to meet up with, some person that can change your life. And nowadays, you could, if you really wanted to, you could just sit in your home studio and make music and make a living. And
right.
That is a beautiful world, in my personal opinion.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Could not agree more with that. Bruce?
Did you ever, so we were talking about it, and Chris brought it up, but we were talking about before Chris got on the line. I mean, I saw you back. I think that was like 2009. We were talking about that Hinder tour, right? Sometime in there,
Yeah.
2009, 2010.
10 years ago.
Yeah. Did you ever,
10 years ago, yeah.
was that your first tour, by the way?
No, we had toured a lot before then, but
Okay.
I mean, that was our first big, because that was pretty much an arena tour, the whole tour. So that was our first arena tour ever, and it was still such fond memories. That was a great time, and it's crazy because it's just it's a different world now, So it's like
But getting
many bands doing arena tours.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Getting to my point though, did you ever imagine that, 10 years or whatever, talking 11 years later, you'd still be at this? And now the second part to that question, was there like a plan B, or was it all in right from then?
I was lucky. I was lucky in the fact that, don't get me wrong, it was a painful process. I've gone through so many ups and downs, as an artist in the business, and but it was the day that I decided, you know what, I used to work 3 jobs at the same time trying to have a musical career, and one day I burnt out so bad. This is like probably, I don't know, a mid 2000s, and I just said, I'm just done. I'm done trying to work these 3 jobs. I'll live off dollar pizza. I don't care what it takes.
Right.
That's when I sat down and I said, screw having a plan B. This is what I'm going to do no matter what. And I never really changed my thought process on that. And my life never changed. I just all of a sudden I was like, this is what I'm doing for a career. Whether I have a lot of money or have no money, this is what I'm doing. And it just never really changed. And I've been lucky enough to not have to have a plan B.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, the tour looks like it went really well. Like the last time you swung through the States, it looked like you guys were playing packed houses all the time.
It was awesome. We've been really lucky, man. I mean, it's just been a grind, but we're happy to do the grind, because when we have those successes, it's just like we sit back and we're one of those bands that just sits there and is so thankful that we can still do what we're doing. That people still want to hear what we're creating, and that's the real goal now. It's a full-time job. Anybody that thinks, playing in a band is, well, you just do it because it's fun. It's like, then you've never played in a band.
Right. Right.
Playing in a band is the last thing I would think of when I think of fun. Yeah.
It's a lot.
I mean, jamming is fun and playing shows are fun, but like everything else that goes around it is it's a lot of work.
But at the same time, like you said, if you're creating and you're doing what you want, then then it's sort of not a job. It's like people stuck in the 9 to 5, they hate it and they're not living. At least you're living and doing what you want to do, and that creates it not being as much, I don't know, in quote, work, I guess. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, there's no question. I mean, life is so much, the way I always look at it, whenever I'm talking to, a client that I'm consulting with or whatever, it's it's pretty simple. It's just like, if you're doing what you love, then, at the end of the day, it gives you purpose. And if you don't have purpose, there's a lot of people that could be going to a job that they're working 9 to 5 or even 9 to 9 for that matter, and they hate what they're doing, but they're making a lot of money. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they have purpose. They're grinding it out, looking at their watch every hour going, I hate my life.
Right.
Even though they might be making a lot of money. I feel even worse are the people that aren't making any money, that are working 9 to 9, that are going, I'm not even making enough money to cover my overhead.
Right.
And I hate my life. You got, at least in the music business, if you're not making enough money to get by, at least you know that you have purpose. You feel connected to what you're doing and happy to be doing it.
Right.
Absolutely. So I have a question. How did Ricardo end up playing with you guys?
It was funny. I've been friends with Ricardo for years, and for I don't know, probably like 15 years we've been friends. And I would say in 2012, we actually were almost neighbors. He lived like 2 blocks away from me. I wasn't even sure what I was doing at that time, because that was kind of when the band kind of disbanded from the Against the Grain days, so to speak. So Ricardo and I were out and we drank. We did lots of drinking at that period of time. And funny enough, we put out our album called Divide the Blackest Sky in 2012 on an indie label that it was probably the hardest time of my entire life. Everything was just falling apart, and kind of had a couple of other drummers to kind of fill in over the time, but nobody just kind of felt like they were just exactly the right fit. And then, so I was like, Ricardo, we've known each other for years. I don't know, do you want to come down and do this? And he's like, absolutely. He came down, he auditioned, we went for drinks, and it's like, why haven't we been doing this since Canada? It was kind of like that. And, and he's just been so great. I've got nothing but amazing things to say about him. He's just so easy to get along with, and is a great drummer. And it's just, let's be honest, drums is my first instrument, and drummers have a certain kind of thing. They can be they're full of piss and vinegar. And you either get along with them really well, or you don't at all.
Nice.
I couldn't agree more. I recorded Ricardo a ton. I know how good he is. He hits those drums like he doesn't even want to give him another breath. He just wants to kill him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's he's a pleasure for sure.
Awesome, Chris. You got anything else? I'm good. Chris, you got anything else?
I do have one more question before we go. How is technology kind of changing the way that you work with music, for writing purposes? Like, for instance, for me, I came from a rock background, and now I own a virtual instrument software company, where I'm doing stuff in my basement. How has that technology kind of driven the way that you write and kind of produce music?
Let's put it this way. It's changed everything. I won't even say 99%. I'm going to say it's changed everything 100%. Because I used to just pick up, and I still do this, I still pick up my acoustic guitar and write songs for my acoustic guitar. And every album I've done, if I can't play that song on an acoustic and it doesn't feel right, then it's probably not a great song. So I will always use my acoustic guitar. But that being said, nowadays, I can go and go into whether it's Pro Tools or Cubase, which are the two, DAWs that I use mostly. And, at the end of the day, it's like you can start with some kind of synthesizer, outlining it completely changes the atmosphere, but a lot of it, I'm not even using any instruments whatsoever. It might just be all completely electronic to begin with, creating loops and it completely changed my songwriting. It completely changed the whole process for me. I mean, the digital world, as far as I'm concerned, everything that was a problem before was, everybody was downloading stuff for free, and there were people streaming. There was 2 or 3 or 40 years where it was just lost, and everybody's like, how are we going to survive? And now we're kind of coming back. So not only from a creative standpoint, but also as a financial standpoint for any artist out there, we're living in the best time ever, where it could be even 5 years ago is the worst time ever. It's crazy. And we're lucky enough that we stuck through it to see the other side, because most bands, they didn't know how to grow with the times, and so they kind of died, and they died out. And I'm lucky that didn't happen to us. That's all I can say.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I mean, that's why I started a software company, because it helped me as a writer so much, to sit down and just be able to put a song together in your studio or in your basement or wherever on a train or on a plane or wherever you are. It doesn't matter. You can always get something done. And when you hit that creative block, sometimes you can find a loop or something that just kind of triggers something that kind of breaks that block. It's pretty amazing times.
Absolutely. In fact, sometimes there's so many options that you don't even know where to go next, because there's almost too many options.
That was my biggest problem when I got Pro Tools, man. When I got Pro Tools the very first time in 2000 or whatever, I came from the 2-inch tape world, and suddenly, and my mixes were getting better or whatever, and then I got Pro Tools, and everything just went downhill because I couldn't make a decision. You didn't have to commit, It changed. It really taught me how to commit, when I'm recording. But
I'm going to say this too, as far as recording goes, is one of the big things that I've noticed is, especially when I'm writing something and I think I've got a good idea, the real trick is stepping away from it, spending an hour working on it, leave it for 2 hours, come back and go, that sucks, what was I thinking, or that's amazing. The breaks, no different than in a song, the space that you create, that there's not a bunch of stuff going on, is the same way as your creative process of writing a great song. Sometimes you just need to give it enough space, let it breathe for a second, and then you'll know if it's a good idea or not. Because the people that sit there and slave over something for 18 hours could be wasting their time, because they should have probably spent about 18 minutes, not 18 hours.
Oh, absolutely. I actually do that when I mix, too. I only allow myself to mix in 2-hour or 3-hour increments, and then I take an hour off.
Yeah.
And then I come back, and in the tape days, you couldn't do that because it was just too expensive,
Oh, yeah.
But now, I can recall a session I did in 2000 easily, and mix it again if I want, or whatever. So it's pretty amazing in that way. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, Crispin. Do you have anything else, Chris?
I don't. That was a very good conversation. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want us to know about the Veer Union before we let you go?
Basically just the one thing I will say is if you could check us out at Instagram.com/The Veer Union, or just at The Veer Union, pretty much at The Veer Union on all our social networks. It's actually the band that does all our own social networking, so if anybody wants to connect with us and find out more about the band, that's the place to go.